Welcome to Books in 10. Don't forget we're raffling an iPhone when we reach 10,000 subscribers. Like, subscribe. Join us as we dive into Jules Verne's classic adventure around the world in 80 days, exploring themes of courage, discovery, and the quest for knowledge. Don't forget, we're raffling an iPhone when we reach 10,000 subscribers. Like, subscribe, and let's take to the skies with Jules Verne. You'll be stepping back in time to 1872, following Phileas Fogg, a precise and rather mysterious Englishman as he embarks on a journey to circumnavigate the globe in just 80 days.
What's remarkable is that Verne wrote this at a time when such a journey was a monumental undertaking, relying on steamships, railways, and even hot air balloons. Imagine the planning and logistics involved.
Right, and that's what makes Fogg's wager at the Reform Club so audacious. He casually drops 20,000 pounds on the line, betting he can complete this impossible-sounding feat.
The scene at the Reform Club is brilliant. You have these gentlemen steeped in routine and tradition, and Fogg throws this bombshell into their midst. It's a challenge to their perception of what's possible, and maybe even a reflection of the changing world around them.
And he doesn't even hesitate. Fogg packs a single carpet bag, grabs his money, and departs, leaving his bewildered servant, Passepartout, to scramble after him.
That impulsive start speaks volumes about Fogg's character. Is it courage? A hidden motive? Or maybe a touch of recklessness? It certainly makes you wonder what drives a man to take such a leap of faith.
I wonder if you've ever felt that pull yourself, that urge to just dive into the unknown, even if it means leaving your comfort zone behind. Think about a time when you took a chance, when you ventured outside the familiar.
Yeah. Let's step into Passepartout's shoes for a moment. Imagine the shock of going from a quiet evening at home to a whirlwind race around the world.
Verne captures Passepartout's initial reaction brilliantly. He's worried about his gas burner left on back in London, his mind fixated on the mundane while being thrust into this grand adventure.
It's a wonderful contrast to Fogg's single-minded focus on the wager. You have Passepartout, concerned about his small world, and Fogg, seemingly detached from everyday anxieties, fixated on conquering time and distance. Their differing perspectives add a layer of humor and depth to their dynamic.
But their journey takes a suspenseful turn with the introduction of Detective Fix. Who suspects Fogg of robbing the Bank of England?
Fix sees Fogg's sudden departure and wealth as evidence, and he's determined to use this race against time to his advantage, following Fogg's every move. What's interesting here is that Fix isn't entirely a villain. He's driven by a sense of duty, of upholding the law, even if his methods are sometimes questionable.
He manipulates Passepartout, using his naivete to glean information about Fogg's plans. It's a reminder that even in a story of grand adventure, there are shades of gray, ethical dilemmas that challenge our perceptions of right and wrong.
One scene that stands out to me is Fix trying to pump Passepartout for details while Passepartout is fretting about his gas bill. The clash of priorities is comical, yet it reveals a lot about their characters. Fix is so focused on the big picture, the alleged crime, that he overlooks the smaller human concerns that occupy Passepartout's mind.
It's a reminder that sometimes, even the most brilliant detectives can miss the obvious when they're blinded by their own assumptions.
And as Fogg and Passepartout race across continents, they're not just encountering geographical obstacles, but also cultural ones. Verne cleverly uses their journey to offer glimpses into the diverse world of the 19th century.
Their experiences in India are particularly striking. Imagine stepping off a steamship into the bustling streets of Bombay, a vibrant mix of sights, sounds, and smells so different from London.
It's a sensory overload for Passepartout, who's initially overwhelmed by the unfamiliar customs and social structures. But for Fogg, it's just another leg of the journey, another challenge to overcome with his characteristic practicality. He's focused on the goal, on keeping to his meticulously calculated schedule.
This is where the unfinished railway line throws a wrench in his plans. But even faced with this setback, Fogg doesn't panic. He calmly assesses the situation and comes up with an unconventional solution: buying an elephant.
It's a brilliant example of Fogg's adaptability and resourcefulness. He's not bound by convention. He's willing to think outside the box, to embrace whatever means necessary to achieve his goal. And this is where we see Fogg's quiet heroism emerge. He doesn't hesitate to spend a small fortune to purchase Kiuni, the elephant, not just to continue his journey, but to rescue Aouda from a horrifying fate.
Aouda's introduction adds a whole new dimension to the story. She's a young woman of incredible strength and resilience, who's been thrust into a perilous situation. And Fogg, despite his reserved nature, steps in to protect her, risking his own safety and his precious time to ensure her well-being.
It's a turning point for Fogg's character. Up until this point, he's been driven solely by the wager, by the challenge of conquering time and distance. But with Oda, we see a glimpse of his compassion, his sense of responsibility for another human being.
Their relationship unfolds subtly against the backdrop of this whirlwind journey. Fogg, the man of logic and precision, finds himself drawn to Auda's spirit, her grace under pressure. And Auda, in turn, is drawn to his quiet strength and his unwavering determination.
I find it fascinating how Auda's presence disrupts Fogg's carefully constructed world. He's a man of routine, of logic, and suddenly he's making decisions based on emotion, on a sense of responsibility for someone else. It makes you wonder how their connection might evolve as they continue this incredible journey together.
And speaking of disruptions, poor Passepartout finds himself in a rather precarious situation thanks to Detective Fix's manipulation. Remember that opium den in Hong Kong?
Ah, yes. The opium den. Fix, in his eagerness to detain Fogg, unwittingly leads Passepartout astray, causing him to miss the steamer. It's a moment that highlights Fix's flawed judgment, his willingness to use deception to achieve his goals.
It's interesting, though, because despite his manipulative tactics, Fix isn't entirely a villain. He grapples with his own sense and duty, with the realization that Fogg might actually be innocent. He's a complex character, caught between his obligation to the law and a growing respect for the man he's pursuing.
That inner conflict comes to a head when Fix learns of Fogg's heroic actions in India, rescuing Ouda from a forced ritualistic death. It challenges his perception of Fogg, forcing him to question whether he's chasing a criminal or a man of honor.
It's a reminder that things aren't always black and white,
That's right.
that even the most seemingly straightforward situations can have layers of complexity.
And it sets the stage for a fascinating shift in their dynamic. Fix, torn between his duty and his newfound respect for Fogg, makes a decision that will have a significant impact on the rest of their journey.
We've talked about the characters and their incredible adventures, but there's another layer to Around the World in 80 Days I find fascinating.
You're talking about the role of technology, right?
Exactly. Verne was writing during a time of unprecedented technological advancement, and it's woven into the very fabric of the story.
It's almost like a character itself, shaping the possibilities and limitations of Fogg's journey.
Think about the steamships they used to traverse the oceans. These were engineering marvels of their time, symbols of human ingenuity and the desire to conquer vast distances.
Verne doesn't just mention them in passing. He describes the inner workings, the sights and sounds, the sheer scale of these vessels. It's as if he's transporting you onto the deck, allowing you to experience the wonder of 19th century sea travel.
And the railways, spanning continents, connecting cities and shrinking the world in ways never before imagined.
The Transcontinental Railroad in America is a perfect example. It represented the ambition of a nation to connect its coasts, to conquer time and space, and it plays a pivotal role in Fogg's race against the clock.
But even with these advancements, Verne reminds us that technology isn't infallible. Remember when the Henrietta nearly runs out of coal?
That's a crucial moment. Fogg, faced with a seemingly insurmountable obstacle, makes a daring decision to burn the ship's non-essential parts to keep the engine running. It highlights the ingenuity and determination required to overcome unforeseen challenges, even with the most advanced technology at your disposal.
It's a testament to human resourcefulness.
Yeah.
Our ability to adapt and find solutions even in the direst of circumstances.
And then there's the telegraph, a relatively new invention at the time that revolutionized communication.
It's like a precursor to the internet, allowing information to travel across continents in the blink of an eye. Both Fogg and Fix utilize it. Fogg to stay informed about world events, and Fix to track Fogg's movements.
But the telegraph also creates moments of dramatic irony, where we, the readers, know things that the characters don't because of the time lag in communication.
It adds a layer of suspense to the story as we anticipate how events will unfold.
And of course, we can't forget the international dateline, a scientific concept that plays a pivotal role in the story's climax.
It's the twist that no one sees coming. Fogg arrives in London believing he's lost the wager, only to discover he's gained a day by traveling eastward across this invisible line.
Verne's incorporation of the international dateline isn't just a clever plot device. It demonstrates his fascination with scientific principles and their impact on human perception.
It makes you think about how our understanding of the world is constantly evolving as we make new discoveries and challenge our assumptions.
And ultimately, Around the World in 80 Days is a celebration of that human quest for knowledge, the drive to explore, to innovate, to push the boundaries of what's possible.
It's a story that inspires us to embrace the unknown, to seek adventure, and to marvel at the wonders of the world, both natural and man-made.
So as you finish this deep dive, I encourage you to consider the words of Jules Verne himself. Anything one man can imagine, other men can make real.
What journeys will you embark on? What boundaries will you push? The world is waiting to be explored. And who knows what incredible discoveries await